Welcome back to Great Day, Louisiana, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. I have a question for you all. Do you know what primal world beliefs are? Moreover, did you know having them can lead to better mental health? That's good to know. If you don't know what they are and how they work, we are learning today. Joining us now virtually is Susan Harrington, a wonderful adult relationship therapist at Maison. Welcome back, Susan.
Thank you. It's always so lovely to be here with you.
So glad to have you here, especially today, because if people don't know, October 10th, today is World Mental Health Day. And I love that we're talking about something that maybe people don't know about when it comes to mental health. My first question for you, Susan, is what are primal world beliefs?
So we call them primals for short. Primals are core beliefs that we all have about the world. It tells us how we think, how we feel, and we act in everyday life. There are three of them. We learn these as children from our parents' behaviors, right? So the three primals are, is the world safe or dangerous? Is the world stable or chaotic? And is the world engaging or boring? There's like these 26 of them that have been researched, and they come down to these three.
It's so interesting, and I love that we're focusing on this today because these are really things that really can affect our mental health. Let's first talk about the negative. How can primal beliefs negatively affect our mental health?
So when we believe in our primals as dangerous or chaotic and boring, then what happens is that we can be more likely to have depression, more likely to have anxiety, as well as be dishonest, which people don't really think about. Our physical health might be struggling as well. Our life, we feel very dissatisfied in it. And professionally, we're not succeeding like we could if we had positive primals.
And what causes these negative effects to come about? Is it through trauma? Is it through because my parents looked at life this way, I'm also now looking at this negatively as well?
So that's really interesting you ask, because what happens is we learn this from our parents' behaviors, right? So that we inherently learned them. Even if we've had traumas like divorce or chronic illness or disasters or death, that kind of thing, and we've had positive primals taught to us, then we can still be resilient and have positive. So it's not about disasters and trauma. It's more about what we're taught.
Wow, yeah, that whole nature and nurture concept, very interesting. So when we talk about primal beliefs and the positive effects of it, what are some of those positives?
So they're exactly the opposites when we look at them, right? Our attitude is more hopeful and trustful and zestful, so we're less likely to have depression and anxiety. We're optimistic and appreciative, right? We can be very honest easily and curious, and so we're more satisfied with life. We're better in our professional careers. They're just the opposite if we move toward a positive primal.
And you know, if you think positive, I believe things will be positive because, you know, for people who may live in that negative primal world belief or primal for short, how can they then make those negatives positive?
Well, the first thing we have to do is be really aware of what's happening, right? So if I change my experience, I must look at my perspective. That means awareness. Then give yourself a bit of grace. Every time we're learning stuff, we just have to give ourselves, like, I'm going to make an error, let me do it again, that grace. We choose one. You don't have to do all of them, just choose one. Then I say try on some rose-colored glasses, just for a little while. Say what could be positive about what's happening? What could be safe here? What could be stable? What could be engaging? And maybe you have a friend who wants to learn this with you, and so y'all can do it together. Buddy systems are always helpful.
I agree. You know me, I love the rose-colored glasses. I always tell people I try to wake up on the right side of the bed every single day. But for some people, Susan, that could be a little bit difficult. There are some questions people should really ask themselves to know that if they're trying to change that negative into positive, if they are working. What are those questions to ask?
Absolutely. You know, what we're doing is our brain was wired one way, so we're going to rewire it. So these questions you see on the board will really help you to start rewiring your brain. It takes time, which is why I'm saying give yourself some grace. Ask yourself, do I really like the aspects of my life and how I see it? If I just chose one little difference to make, how could I see it just a little bit safer, a little bit steadier, a little bit more inviting, right? Maybe I already know somebody who thinks that way, like you're talking, you do with the rose-colored glasses. I know I do. It really helps life be much more positive experience. See if they'll support you and be encouraging. And of course, if you need some professional assistance with that, because it's about changing a belief, this is difficult stuff, call someone, ask someone who's good in cognitive behavioral therapy, and they can assist you with this.
It's so important. And like I mentioned at the top of the show, everybody, or at the top of this segment rather, today is Mental Health Awareness Day. Why do you think it's so important that we really try to focus on our mental health, not only today, Susan, but every day?
Every day, right? It's no different than nutrition. It's no different than being engaged in life and socializing with others. There's lots of pieces that really help us when we work together with other people. I was speaking with a National Guard veteran earlier today, and he talked about how in the past 10 years, our military Defense Act has set up where it's so important for military to get it because they've learned suicide and homicide and psychotic disorders and depression and anxiety and all these things. The more we have struggle, the more those things get worse, the more we get into alcoholism. And so if we start with positive primals.
It's so true, and I think it's important at the end of the day that we identify it, right, Susan? You talked about these great primals today, so everybody identify them in yourselves. Ask yourselves these 3 questions and see where you fall. Susan, thank you so much for joining us this morning, as always. And if you want to know more about primals or any other mental health issue, really, you can call Maison V at 504-452-5937. You can also visit their website, maisonvla.com. We'll be right back, everybody.